Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of 2D Prototyping in Unity. My name is Kasanis. In the last episodes we set up our losing condition. We are all losers. That's all we can do in this game is lose. We cannot win yet. And that's a problem. Obviously any game is going to have winning and losing conditions. You know, some of the winning conditions are going to be impossible to hit in some games, but not in this one. In this one, we're going to make it relatively easy. We're going to pass through a door, and that's basically going to be our winning condition. That's what I did in the original game I built, the simple prototype I built to show you guys. It's just a simple door you run through, basically. And you guys can either do that if you want to. You guys can follow along with this last episode, or second last episode. I'm not sure which one yet. And just have you go through a door, and that's what you've done. You know, you explore your entire map, and if you explore the entire thing, then good for you, you win. You could also have it set up so you're collecting things. You guys don't have to have the same winning conditions that I'm setting up here. You know how to build collectibles now. Maybe your character has to collect X amount of whatevers before they can pass through the door, before the door will open. That's going to be up to you. But in this episode, guys, I am going to show you how to create a door that the character is going to run through to finish. It's going to basically be a star, a shining star. They're going to trigger that shining star into being created, and when they go through it, the game is going to say you win, in the same way we said game over. It's going to say, you know, you win or something, and then it's going to restart. Now, time permitting, I will end the series here. I will say that's the end of the series, and I'm going to end it with creating a quit button, because who wants to restart forever, right? Nobody. If I don't have time, I'm going to have to do one more episode, one last episode on a quit button, on an extra menu. All right, guys, so let's get started. Okay, guys, so to start off with, there's going to be some review in this last episode. I think there might as well be anyway, just to make sure that everything is implanted in your brains. All right, so what we're going to start off with is building the door, or whatever you want to call it, the end doorway, the end gate. And we're going to start off right away by building a new material. So once again, I'm going to my materials folder. I'm going to say create. I'm going to say material, boom, and I'm going to change it to, first of all, immediately. Well, I'm going to change the name immediately to, let's call this, I don't know, star. Oops, I should be clicking down here. Star material. All right, we'll call it star material. That's fine. And we're going to change it right away to our unlit transparent, and I will show you why in 1 second. The standard shader that we were using at the beginning, I think I used it for the smoke. I think I left it for the smoke. Basically, the way the standard shader works is it requires a light source of some kind, and the light source will then bring out the appropriate colors. Now, I wanted our smoke from our rocket to be black, so I left it as the standard shader. And I don't know if that's the most efficient thing I could have done. I don't know. But I did. I left that as a standard shader, and that way it's coming out black. I think I did the same thing with the puff plant. Did I? I did. Both of those are coming out just as a really dark color. They're unlit, so you're not really seeing anything like that. With the star material, or let's say the rocket explosion, where I used this one I used unlit transparent cutout. This one I'm just going to use unlit transparent. And let me open up, let me select, bam, the star. Let me see, where is it? Star, right here, red star. All right, so that's what it's going to look like. It's kind of got a fading that's kind of happening to it, and that's why I am not using it as a cutout. It's not a definite cutout. It's just transparent, and it's using the alpha channel of the actual image to create a nice fall off from the bright star. First thing we had to do, create a material, everything like that. Leave the rest of it. It's awesome. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our hierarchy. And we're going to create an empty game object. And let's make sure it's at 0, 0, 0. Reset it. Now this game object is basically going to be a number of things. It's going to be a particle system. So let's add our particle system right away. Add. Where's particle system? Well, start typing it. Add component particle system. Boom, right there. All right, so I'm adding my particle system. Right away we know we're using the stars. So let's change that. Let's go down here to the renderer. Let's change our default material to star material. And we can see that we're getting not what we want. We're getting the 6 stars in there, and that's obviously not what we want. So we want to go and make sure we're using a texture sheet animation, first of all. And it was 3 by 2. You can see it right there, 3 by 2. Well, you used to be able to see it. 3 by 2. So now we're getting individual stars, and it's actually playing the animation over time. So far, so good. We're going to make a couple of other changes in here. We really don't want this thing to have any speed. We want it to be 0. It's not moving. All right, so everything is happening. Let's zoom in so we can see it. Everything is happening right in there. That could be our door by itself if you wanted to. You guys are really going to decide on exactly how your door looks. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my emission rate to 1. Boom. I am going to set my, everything else is fine. My shape, I'm going to reduce this radius down really small so everything's kind of happening in one spot. All right, so that's going to be my door. Let's make the size a little bigger. Let's see our start size. Let's make it to 3. Is that big enough? No, not even close. Let's make it 5. That's not so bad. That can be our door. Let's make it 10. That'll be our awesome door right there. That's going to be our awesome door where we're going through. And we can change anything you want in here. The start lifetime, we can go through and make all the different changes you want. You can see I'm kind of scrolling through and it's going through each and every one. And it's all happening in exactly the same location. And that's really what you want. That's kind of giving me this starburst effect. Maybe make our lifetime 1 instead so we kind of get a little more shine happening. All right. We're going to leave it like that. That's perfectly fine for our particle system. You guys can go through and kind of make whatever particle system you want. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make one last thing. I'm going to rotate it over time. Rotation over lifetime. There we go. Look at that door. Sweet. All right, that'll be our door. That's going to be our particle system on our door. We also know that what we're going to need on our particle system, on our door particle system, is something for this object to interact with. For our character to actually interact with. We want the character, when he comes in, he's going to bang into this thing here, and when he does, we basically want him to we want to operate on some kind of we either want to operate on entering, on staying, or on trigger, or sorry, on leaving. In our case, as soon as our character enters this doorway, the game is going to end. So we know that we're going to need a collider, right? Our character has to be able to collide. Let me just shrink this so we're not looking at this particle system anymore. Shrink it. Let's add a component. Get rid of this for now. Our 2D physics, and let's make a circle collider. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. That is far too large. We only want it small enough that the character can jump inside. So let's shrink it down. No, that's fine. That's fine for the door. And as always, this is going to be a trigger, and that way the character can interact. It can interact with the character when the character actually passes through. All right, and I think other than a script that's going to allow us to talk with our character, that's all we need. So add component, a new script, and let's call this one here. I don't know, win game, and let's open that up. Boom, boom. Our win game script is going to be really rather simple. Win game is going to be really rather simple. We know it's going to be a on trigger event. So void on trigger enter 2D is what we want to use. And of course, it has got a collider 2D called other associated with it. Boom, boom, and boom. And basically, we want to make sure that whatever's entering the door is the player. So if other, you guys have done this a million times, tag equals quotations player. We've already set up that tag on our player. Then we want some stuff to happen. So let's add that in there. Basically, what we want to do is we're going to want to call a public script from somewhere. We want if we go back here and we take a look, we already have a make dead script on here that goes through on our player health. We have a make dead script on here, and that basically ends the game. So we want to have something very, very similar for the player to win the game as well. So let's go in here right away and add a new script. We're doing this in the player health. I'm keeping it all together. You didn't necessarily have to put it here. There's no reason not to. This allows me to destroy my object, and it already has access to our, what did we call it? To our game manager. We already have access to this kind of stuff, so putting it here makes perfect sense. So let's make a public script that it's a void, obviously, and let's just call it a win game. All right, it's a public script, so we can access it from another object. In this case, we're going to try and access it from our door object. We're going to call the script from our door object once the player enters. Into this trigger. All right, and this script is going to be relatively simplistic as well. We don't have a lot of work left to do, guys. We are actually moving along pretty darn good. What we definitely want to do is first of all, we want to destroy our character, right? We want to destroy the character. We want him to disappear. We don't want him just to fall off the screen and land and nothing to happen. So let's destroy him. If you really wanted to, I didn't do this in my game, but if you really wanted to, you could have some kind of like particle burst or something like that happens when he enters. I didn't do that in my game, but you guys should very seriously consider adding something like that as an exercise to make sure you know exactly what you're doing, all right? So I'm telling you right now, that's your exercise. Add a particle burst when the character wins the game, when the player wins the game. Anyway, for now, what we're going to do is we're going to destroy. We want to destroy this character. We want the character to be gone. We don't need him anymore. We want him to disappear so that the player himself no longer has access to moving around the character, moving around the screen, anything like that. The game is over. So destroy, and I'm going to destroy the game object, the actual game object that this is associated with. The other thing we want to do. We're going to do exactly the same thing that we did with our death. All right, we're going to basically say restart the game, and let's do it right here. We're just going to grab this, the game manager.restart the game. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it right there. So boom. So those two things right there are probably not enough. Not enough at all, actually, but it is enough right now for us to finish writing our win game. So I'm going to save this file, save. Let's go back to our win game. Now, basically, we want to call that public function, a win game. We want to call that from this location. In order to do so, we're going to need to declare a new variable, get a reference to the player health script that's on our player, so that we can call that function. All right, so player health, and let's call it. It doesn't matter. Player wins. Player wins. It doesn't matter what you call it. Player wins, and that's going to be equal to, you guys already know what's equal to, other.gameObject dot get component. So we're getting the component on the game object. We're getting our, boom, player health script. All right, we're getting a reference to our player health script, right like that. Now, with that done, what we can now do is player wins, and we can call the win game. All right, so this by itself right now, just this little bit of code is all we need in here. This by itself, file save, is going to allow us to make the call to the player health, and the player health is going to destroy the object and restart the game. But really what we should be doing as well is we should be telling the player they won, right? We've already done this once. We've already actually gone through and told the player they lost, so we might as well use that exact same code. I'm going to go back to my game, not the exact same code, the exact same everything. Oh, I didn't name this game object properly, did I? What was this? This was my winning door. We'll call it that. My winning door. And in fact, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take our winning door right now, and we're going to make it into a prefab. The code is all done. The door itself is a trigger. Everything seems to be working as we want it to. Let's test it. I'm going to move this thing right over here for now. Let's put it right here. And when we test this, play, we should be able to run into that door. There it is, run in the door, killed my character off, and in a couple seconds we restart. And that's exactly what we want to happen. So it's working as we expect, all right? So this winning door is done. I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it, I'm going to drop it into my prefab right here, all right? And then I'm going to dump it because I no longer need this. Boom, it's gone. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to find in here in my player HUD, I want to find the game over text. And basically, I'm going to duplicate this. Edit, duplicate. Instead of calling it game over text, let's call it game winning text. It doesn't matter. Winning text. Game winning text. Perfect. And we want to change a few things. Obviously, it doesn't say game over. It's going to say you win. You are so amazing. You've won this impossibly to win game. All right. That's our first thing. It's already got set up. It's animator and everything else. And we want the animation to be exactly the same. We could change the color. Maybe you win is going to be green. You guys decide. I'm going to make it green. I really hate these sliders. I hate you, sliders. Come on, why aren't you moving? All right, let's just do it this way. Oh, I hate you, sliders, so much. There. All right, that one down. This one down. There we go. So you win is going to be green. You know, I really can't stand that, but that's how we're going to do it. Because I made the decision here. You win is going to be in green. Now, basically, all we have to do is in player health. Let's go back to our player health script. Down here in win game, we're going to have to, first of all, declare. Same thing we did before. Declare. Where did I do it? Restart manager. No. Right here. In our HUD variables, I'm going to add a new public text called the win game screen. Bam. And we'll have to define that. I'm going to forget. Probably going to forget to define that. But we're going to define it down here. First of all, we're going to say, nope, we're not going to do this stuff here. We're going to only grab the animator. That's all we really needed to do. So down here, the animator. We're getting the animator for the win game. Was it called win game screen? I think so. Actually, we'll call it win game animator. Oh my God, animator. Win game animator is going to be equal to the win game screen dot get component. Get component. Boom. And we're trying to get the animator. And basically, animator. Oh my God, I can't even type today. Basically, we're trying to do exactly the same thing we did up here, where we are setting the game animation screen to animate properly, show ourselves, and then we're going to restart. All right. So with our win game, what do you call it? Sorry, what did I call it? Win game animator. With our win game animator dot set, we want to set a trigger because it's got exactly the same triggers as we used before, and it was called the game over trigger. It's literally an exact copy, right? We just duplicated it. Game over. There's probably a smarter way of doing this. I could have just instead changed, like I could have up here had a. Well, it doesn't really matter. This works. Anyway, game over, and then we are going to set the trigger. That's all we need to do. That's all we need to do now. The game over is going to start working, and we should see this actual thing working appropriately. All right, let's save file and save. Good. So once again, just to make sure that it actually works, let's go in here in our prefab. Let's find our winning door. Let's just throw it in here for now. And, oh, there's one thing I actually want to change on this prefab. Right now, because I didn't like what I saw when we ran it the first time. Up here, it is looping. I want to pre-warm it. All right, it's pre-warmed, and that way it doesn't have to. It'll start life already in place instead of having it slowly warm up and appear. You guys can decide what you like better. Anyway, I'm going to apply that. I just don't have to. And play now. Boom. There's our thingy, and when we run inside, we've disappeared. I told you. I forgot to set in my player health my winning game screen. I knew I was going to. Let's pop it in there and try that again. Play. Get in there. You win. It's all green and nice. Perfect. Start over. All right, guys, that's working perfectly. There's a couple more things that we really want to do in order to say that this game is done and we actually have a winning condition. You could just take this entire thing if you want to and put it somewhere. You could just take the let's go down here. Where did I put it? Where is that? Where is the door? Here, I'll just select it on here. Door right there. I want to dump this. I don't need it anymore. You could have taken that door and just put it here at the end and had the character run into it. But rather than do that, I want to kind of surprise the character and give them an awesome chance to run into it. So we're going to build one more thing. We're going to go in here. We're going to say create, and we're going to create a brand new object. And this object, basically what I want this object to do is be a trigger to instantiate the door. All right, so the door's not sitting there. You might have variables that are required in order to win the game. Like maybe you've decided that you want to have them collect something or have them kill all the enemies or whatever you decided to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new object. We're going to call this in here. Let's call it winning conditions. Let's just call it winning conditions. And this is going to be the reason why we actually win the game. All right, let's put this back at 0, 0, 0, so we're creating it there. What I'm going to add to this right now, I'm going to add a component, and I'm going to add a physics 2D box collider, and it's entering this box collider that is going to instantiate the door. All right. In my case, there's no other conditions. If you walk through this collider, then it instantiates the door, and if you don't walk through the collider, then you don't win. Yours might be if you've walked through this collider and it checks to see immediately if your character has collected whatever 10 coins or killed 5 boars or whatever you want it to be in order to instantiate the door. All right, let's zoom in on the door itself, or sorry, on this game object here, and we're gonna thought I called this something else. We're gonna call it winning conditions. I must not hit return. Conditions. Winning conditions. All right, so with winning conditions, I've got a new box collider. Great. Let's first of all set it up so we can see where the base of it is. We'll make it blue. That's fine, and we're going to move our box collider up. First of all, we're going to make it much larger, so the character can't necessarily get by it. I'm going to make it like this, and I'll make it high in the Y so he can't jump through. And then I'm going to move it up in the Y direction like that. That is perfect. So now, as long as our character walks through this trigger, we want to instantiate the door at a certain location. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a, no, we're not going to add a component. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say create, and I'm going to create an empty child object. And this is going to be the door location. So, or the win location, I'll call it. Win location. And the winning location, let's change this thing here to green for the winner. The winning location is just going to be a simple transform location, and this is where we're actually going to set our door into being. All right, so let's say I put it, it doesn't matter where you put it. I'm going to put it right there for now. Let's grab our winning conditions box. We've got a few more things to add to it, but I'm going to put it over here in this location. So if you've made it all the way to this location over here, that's when I'm saying you have won the game, and my star is going to appear, or let's say right here. Right there. All right, that's where my star is actually going to appear. My door is actually going to appear. The last thing we need in here is a script, and that script is going to allow us to actually go through and restart the game, or not. Sorry, actually to launch the launch our door. All right. So let's go in here and add a new component, and it's going to be a new script, and this new script is going to be called spawn door. Spawn door. All right, perfect. Boom, and let's open up spawn door. And let's get rid of that thing again. All right, there we go. Spawn door. There's not a lot that has to go into spawn door. We have to check out a couple of things. First of all, we're going to need a bool. Let's call it activated, and set it equal to false. This bool is basically going to tell us whether or not our door has already been activated once. We don't want to activate it more than once. We want to activate the door once, spawn one door, and be done. The next thing we're going to need is a public transform. And this public transform is going to tell us where we're going to spawn the door. So where, let's call it where to spawn. Spawn. Like that. Perfect. And that, of course, is going to be our win location. We've already set it up down there. And the last thing we're going to need is a tab, a public game object. And that's going to be what we're going to spawn. So let's just call it door, and that is, of course, going to be a reference to our door that we've already created, our particle door we've already created. All right, there's nothing else that really needs to go in here except for what happens when they actually trigger, when actually they enter the trigger. So, like usual, void on trigger, enter, capital E, enter 2D. And of course, like all, 2D, it takes a collider 2D that we're going to call other. Bang, 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 and bang. Okay, so a couple things we're going to check right away. First of all, is it our player? If other dot tag equals quotations player quotations. Then great, that means our player's entered and we want to spawn the door. But we also want to make sure ampersand that we haven't already activated our door once. So make sure that not activated. All right, to make sure that activated is false. Okay, boom, 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 and boom. All right, so if these two conditions are true, then what do we want to do? First thing we want to do, activated is going to be equal to true. All right. Second thing we want to do is obviously instantiate our door. So we want to instantiate what? Our door. Where to spawn dot position. Position. And at what orientation? Let's just do it without any kind of rotation. So quaternion identity. Bam, that means no rotation at all. All right, and the last thing, I mean, this is overkill, but let's destroy this game object. Game object. All right, that's kind of overkill. We've already set activated equal to true, so it should never come back here and respawn the door. But you know what? Let's just get rid of it anyway. We'll get rid of this object, so we're not going to even have to worry about that. All right, it's kind of overkill, but whatever. File, save, boom. Let's go in here and make sure everything looks good. And it does because we got the stuff showing up. I'm going to drag winning location onto my transform here. And I'm going to drag winning location directly. No, I dragged winning location on there. And I'm going to drag my prefab. I'm going to drag winning door onto here. All right, so basically that's our public variable set up. Now let's save this whole thing. File save so we don't lose it. I already saved that one. And play. This now should allow me to create a door. Let's go see. First we got to get our boar moving here. Can you see me, boar? There you go. Jump! Let's kill this guy. Oh, he's charging me! Who does he think he is? Can't believe I took damage. Come get me, boar. Alright. Boom. Let's run across. Jump. Jump boost. And land. There's our door. I actually already entered in that thing, and I can run across. And I win. The game should restart in right now. All right, guys. I think we are going to end the episode there. It's getting kind of long, which means I'm going to have one last episode to do. And that basically, right now, if we lose, the game restarts. If we win, the game restarts. And we don't want that, right? We don't want to have it keep doing that. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to, let's move this way up here for now. Let's put our puffer plant right underneath this, so they got to jump through our puffer plant to get there, to get up in there. And let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. Let's move this a little closer. Oh, they're doing construction outside. My God. They're like dragging stuff across the road. You know what? Let's add a boar in here to make this a little extra hard. You gotta kill the boar first. All right, there. That makes it way harder. Okay, guys. So we didn't have time to go through and do the final thing. When you win the game, it starts over. When you lose the game, it starts over. And basically what we want to do is give the player an option to quit. That is going to be our last episode in this prototyping in 2D, or 2D prototyping in Unity series for platformers. All right. If there's any kind of questions or that kind of stuff, maybe I can do a question and answer. So if you have any very specific questions or something that's burning, or I'll look through all the comments that we've had up till now and see if there's a common thread that people are asking. Maybe I'll do an answer video, a question and answer video as well at the end of this series. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. You've got yourself a game now. One last little tiny thing to do. It's going to be a really short episode, and then you've got yourself a game. I hope you guys are building it. I hope you're making something really cool. I can't wait to see it. All right, everyone, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments down below, and if you haven't done so, please take a few seconds to subscribe. Have yourselves a wonderful day, everyone.